What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got another live fantasy football mock draft for you back on Yahoo with a 12-team half-point PPR mock where we have that 7th overall selection. Should be pretty interesting as always. And as you can see, we've got the setup ready to go. And while we wait, a quick reminder, if you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, let us hear it in the comment section, along with any other questions you guys might have. And lastly, check us out online at alldaypigskin.com. And while you're there, get yourself a copy of the 2021 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide. Everything you could want at a great value. Details in the description. But with that being said, let's get into this draft because the first 3 picks have already been made. Really no surprise there. Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry. But I should mention, there have been a lot of changes actually since the last time we probably did a mock draft earlier last week because there have been things like injuries. Michael Thomas with the New Orleans Saints. How does that affect someone like an Alvin Kamara? Cam Akers out for the year. Aaron Rodgers rumors, potential retirements, but we'll get more into those after our selection. After that Derrick Henry pick, you see Alvin Kamara, Ezekiel Elliott, and then Jonathan Taylor. At this point in time, I'm looking at Saquon Barkley. I'm probably looking at Tyreek Hill as my next option, but I know if I ignore the running back position in the first round, the second round could be a little bit iffy. We're going to have to wait a while, so I'd rather just go Saquon Barkley right now and then look at wide receiver values in the second round. I just have a feeling like guys with names of Joe Mixon, Austin Eckler, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, probably going to be gone in the second round. So just get Saquon Barkley. Yes, trust me. I know that he is quote-unquote limited and he might not be 100% and on a snap count come week 1. But even with that in mind, I think where we were selecting with the 7th overall pick, he's a pretty good value. You got to get a running back at some point in the first or second round usually. And all the other options were kind of exhausted. And once Saquon Barkley does hit a stride, which I don't think will take all that long, he is close to a top 5 running back, if not a for sure top 5 running back. Very dual threat type of running back as well. Good pass catchers. So not all that worried about it. Some of the other selections beforehand, Alvin Kamara as the 4th running back overall. I love that value. The guy's pretty much creeping to a tier 1 running back now with Michael Thomas out for a month and a half. So, he's going to be the best pass catcher for the Saints. That really boosts his PPR value. Then Zeke, then Jonathan Taylor, and we land Saquon Barkley with that 7th overall pick. Then you see Tyreek Hill, pretty much exactly how we were contemplating, followed by Nick Chubb, Aaron Jones, Travis Kelce, Stephon Diggs, Justin Jefferson. So a little bit of a run on pass catchers, then Antonio Gibson, Devontae Adams, Joe Mixon. And I know that just my luck, this pick will be Austin Eckler because first and foremost, it's an auto pick. And that's just the way that our luck is going to go. And if it's not Austin Eckler, then, even more so because that means we could have had Tyreek Hill in the first round. But it's all right. I'm not really all that mad about it because either way, we're going to get either Calvin Ridley or Austin Eckler at this point in the second round. And I think both those guys are just absolutely amazing, amazing value. It's Austin Eckler. So, pairing up Saquon Barkley with Austin Eckler, who I feel like is one of the safest running backs this season, is actually a combination that I love. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Barkley, maybe has a little bit of a slow start. Eckler can carry the running back squad during that time. And then when Barkley is 100%, you could argue this is one of the best running back duos. So I absolutely love the start that we have, especially at the running back position. Don't get me wrong, Calvin Ridley would have been nice as a wide receiver 1, but you guys know how high I am on Austin Eckler. Getting him at that point, pretty much in the middle of the second round, if you will, 1 pick away, is an absolute steal in my opinion, especially with how much his value has kind of gone up. Usually he's going to be an end of the first round selection. It really depends, from mock draft to mock draft. Everyone has its own kind of unique characteristics and its own build to it. But right now, with this one, I was happy with the value that we got in the middle of the first and in the middle of the second round. Following that Austin Eckler selection, you see A.J. Brown, Najee Harris, and I keep seeing Najee Harris is either an early second round selection, middle second round selection, pretty much everywhere, and I continue to not agree with it. I'm sorry, but I just don't believe in that offensive line in Pittsburgh. Volume doesn't just make a good running back. Look at Joe Mixon last year. Look at Todd Gurley a few years ago. That's not how this works. And I'm standing by that when it comes to Najee Harris. You see DeAndre Hopkins afterwards, DK Metcalf, so a little bit of a run on wide receivers. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I like to see that as a second-round selection. I don't think he should be dropping to the third round. I think that Clyde Edwards-Helaire is worthy of a second-round selection, and people are finally kind of realizing that, oh yeah, he's going to have a bounce-back season this year. There's no way that he doesn't. And he's on one of the best teams in all of football, one of the high-scoring offenses. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and draft Clyde Edwards-Helaire. No questions about it. So I love that pick for that team. Right now, I'm just kind of looking at these players left available, potential options. We probably should be addressing wide receiver. Allen Robinson, not a bad choice. Keenan Allen, Darren Waller, CeeDee Lamb, especially with Amari Cooper kind of starting, at least right now, camp on the PUP list. We'll see how long that lasts. Other names that I really, really like, Chris Carson. Normally, my favorite third-round selection at this point would be Michael Thomas. As you guys know, him set to miss a month and a half. Well, he doesn't belong in the third round anymore. Now, don't get me wrong. I'd probably take a chance on him in the 9th, 10th round, wherever his ADP settles, but he's a stash guy. He's a guy that you draft with the hopes of being able to play him, towards the end of the regular season, but more importantly, in the playoffs. That's where you want someone like a Michael Thomas, because even when he does return, obviously his overall outlook for fantasy will be decreased, but on a game per game basis, I still really like Michael Thomas for what it's worth. Now, again, looking at some of these players, we saw in Allen Robinson, Darren Waller, Keenan Allen, J.K. Dobbins drafted. David Montgomery's a good value at this point. Definitely Chris Carson. Man, that would be very, very running back heavy. Right now, the way this thing is looking, I'm guessing Montgomery and CeeDee Lamb would be the next two picks. So I've got no problem selecting Chris Carson. I was going to say he's probably my favorite third-round selection at this point in time after Michael Thomas. There goes David Montgomery. I anticipate this is probably CeeDee Lamb. If it's not, I believe we can get someone like a Robert Woods or a Cooper Kupp in the 4th round. It's CeeDee Lamb, so I'm just going to stick to my guns. I'm going running back heavy, I guess. I really didn't expect this, especially considering when we kicked off this draft, I was, almost selecting Tyreek Hill and then Calvin Ridley in the 2nd round, which is something I do pretty often, actually, when I have like that 7th, 8th, 9th overall pick. I think at that point, just the wide receivers become extremely good values. But right now, we've unexpectedly gone very running back heavy. And we just saw Aaron Rodgers being drafted, which makes 0 sense as the first quarterback off the board, especially considering his, retirement rumors, which I don't think it'll happen, considering that he probably still thinks that he can make a run and that Devontae Adams is still under contract, even though, again, he's not someone that is going to be looked at by the Packers long-term per recent rumors, which, by the way, is why Devontae Adams probably was drafted as the 4th overall wide receiver after Diggs, Hill, and Justin Jefferson. So he doesn't really belong, I guess, in the tier 1 category anymore, especially with those Rodgers rumors swirling up again. Tough to argue with that. So, Aaron Rodgers, what I was getting at, no chance in hell he should be the first quarterback selected in fantasy football drafts. That should be Patrick Mahomes. But hey, at least they got like the ADP right in terms of when quarterbacks should be selected across the majority of leagues, and that's towards the end of the 3rd round. Now, if you ask me, I'm going to say, probably 4th, 5th round, but that's just my take on it because there's just so many other players that are more valuable. And speaking of some of those players, that means we're 2 picks away. For the most part, we're going to be able to get either Robert Woods, Julio Jones, or Cooper Kupp, and I'm absolutely delighted about that. Right now, I'm probably going to go the direction of Julio Jones. There goes Darrell Henderson, who we will touch on a little bit later. I think Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp are some very fantastic choices, but I think Julio Jones probably has a little bit of higher upside. So we're going to go with Julio Jones here, but I promised you guys I would touch on Darrell Henderson. So yes, Cam Akers out for the year with that Achilles, which means Darrell Henderson supposedly the next guy up. Now, it's TBD in terms of if the Rams add another running back. If they don't, obviously that helps Darrell Henderson. If not, well, it's going to, probably hurt his value by, I'd say, a round or 2, which in terms of his value, his ADP, I would say at the highest point right now would be an end of the 3rd round selection. Probably where it should be is 4th, 5th round, middle of the 4th round, early 5th round type of guy, because when it's all said and done, I do think another running back will be added. I still don't quite see him as that Cam Akers 2.0. I'm just not sure that he's going to be used that way when it's all said and done. After our Julio Jones selection, you see Mike Evans, Amari Cooper. I'm hoping that we can get a Cooper Kupp, a TJ Hawkinson, a Miles, well, I guess not a Miles Gaskin since we've already got 3 amazing running backs. So a Tyler Lockett, a TJ Hawkinson, a Deontay Johnson, a Kyle Pitts, a Kyler Murray. Man, I'm getting very excited looking at all these options. So let's just go back to the draft results and see if we get, well, I guess right now it wouldn't really be getting sniped, but if we get those options depleted, there goes Cooper Kupp. Interesting to see him being drafted, I believe, ahead of Robert Woods. I have zero problem with that, whether you draft Woods or Cooper Kupp, one right after the other. I was going to say just make sure it's not like a round after because that makes 0 sense. I think both probably finish with very similar stat lines. I'm happy to see that they go one right after the other here towards the end of the 4th round. Then you see Josh Allen, the 3rd quarterback technically off the board, even though technically it should be the 2nd since that Aaron Rodgers pick that makes 0 sense to me, considering that the first 2 picks were actually kind of logical. Odell Beckham doesn't really make all that much sense in the 4th round, considering, again, Julio Jones, Cooper, Kupp, Robert Woods, Amari Cooper were all there, DJ Moore as well. I think Odell Beckham, he's definitely still talented. He's definitely still got it, but while he's in Cleveland, no thank you. And right now we're just kind of going on a run. We're getting a lot of those options, kind of like I anticipated, depleted. Our turn is next. I'm hoping that hopefully probably Kyler Murray. I'd rather go with him at this point in time than Kyle Pitts. I'll be able to figure out something at tight end. I think Kyler Murray is just someone that has the quarterback 1 potential, and that's very, very valuable to me. Deontay Johnson is still also very tempting to kind of pair him up with Julio Jones. Yes, he's risky, but he's got a very nice upside. We'll see what happens here, whether it's a quarterback, Myles Gaskin. So we've got a lot of choices. Kyle Pitts, Kyler Murray, Deontay Johnson. Those are the 3 guys I'm looking at, but I'm really, really tempted here. In the 5th round, I think it's a very good value for Kyler Murray. I'm going to go with him. I know probably I wouldn't have been able to get him in the 6th round. So, all things considered, I am pretty happy with the value there. I think Kyler Murray, right now, I have him ranked as my number 2 overall quarterback for the 2021 season, but still very, very possible that he finishes the number 1 guy. Kyle Pitts being drafted afterwards, I absolutely expected that. I did not think that he would fall to us. So it is what it is. We'll be able to select somebody else at the tight end position later on, maybe like a Dallas Goedert, something like that. We'll see if maybe Mark Andrews is someone that we could target, even though, I don't love the situation there with Baltimore and the targets that he's probably going to get, or I should say not get. So I can look at other options, but after Kyle Pitts, let's again look at these draft results. You see T. Higgins, Kenny Golladay, there goes Deontay Johnson, there goes Javonte Williams. I don't like that value for Javonte Williams at the end of the 5th round. Let's look at some of these other running backs. I'd much rather have Mike Davis. I'd much rather have a Damian Harris. So that's just my personal opinion. So right now we could look at a tight end, but I think there's better value elsewhere. Again, yes, Mark Andrews is still there, but I just don't think he's going to get the volume, especially in PPR scoring. Don't get me wrong. If this was standard scoring, then yeah, I'd be taking Mark Andrews here in the 6th round, but now not quite as excited about that. But if I had to rank them at this point in time, I'd probably go Jamar Chase as my next option. And we've had our first kicker, and at this point, it's absolute madness. I'm 100% certain this is the Aaron Rodgers team. Yep, and I don't know what the hell is going on here. Apparently, we've got a Green Bay Packers fan that's just saying screw it to this mock draft. But we'll just go ahead and continue to construct our roster. So we're looking at Mark Andrews, Damian Harris, but we've got so many running backs. So really, we're just looking at wide receiver, and my next best available wide receiver is Jamar Chase. I'd rather go and take a chance on someone like a Dallas Goedert, who I think is going to get more volume than a Mark Andrews, even if Zach Ertz stays on the team. And for what it's worth, if Zach Ertz leaves, then that ADP absolutely shoots up. The volume shoots up. So I'll probably just take Dallas Goedert in this next round. If not, I can, pivot. I can take someone like Antonio Brown. I can take someone like a Ronald Jones. I don't have to take a quarterback since I've obviously got Kyler Murray, but we're sitting pretty. Honestly, I do think we're doing all right. We just need to add some more wide receiver depth. Our running backs are amazing. Honestly, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think our running backs are an A+ type of trio. Quarterback, I think we've got a top one or a top two quarterback. Wide receivers is a little bit of a different story. It's going to depend on what Julio Jones version that we get. If we get, a Julio Jones that stays healthy for the entire season, I think he's got top 10 wide receiver upside. If not, it could be tough sledding. We're also relying on a rookie in Chase, who has a lot of competition around him with T. Higgins and with Tyler Boyd, but we're kind of, relying on the connection that he has with Joe Burrow, so we'll see what happens there. Let's look at some of these other selections after Jamar Chase. You saw Mark Andrews, Russell Wilson, James Robinson, Ronald Jones, Chase Edmonds, Trey Sermon. So a huge run on running backs, kind of expected. I want to see where Damian Harris goes. He'd be a good value, but again, it won't be by us. Right now, let's kind of just sort out our next best available players. I'd go Dallas Goedert at this point. Let's see what the chances are that, won't be selected here since they've already got tight ends, potentially by team 4, by team 5. So Dallas Goedert just has to survive technically 2 selections. If he does, then he's probably going to be our pick here. Wide receiver, just to look at in case, Dallas Goedert doesn't make it to us. Let's quickly sort this thing by wide receivers and see what the options are. I don't love Courtland Sutton. I don't love Juju Smith. Probably, again, I'm looking at this list, Antonio Brown. I know he's down the list. Michael Thomas is also kind of interesting, again, as a stash. And of course, Dallas Goedert gets picked. It's kind of brutal, but it is what it is. So honestly, I might go Antonio Brown and then go Michael Thomas in the next round, something like that. Yeah, I'm gonna go Antonio Brown and forget what you're seeing with these ADPs, because Antonio Brown should be ranked so much higher. It's absolutely ludicrous. Tight end, I'm probably going to punt the tight end position. I'm looking at these options. I guess, kind of looking at it, who would I have ranked the highest? Maybe Jared Cook. I mean, I know that sounds disgusting. Noah Fant, he's got so much competition there. I don't trust the quarterback situation in Denver. Logan Thomas, just, again, so many mouths to feed. I just really think that he's not going to duplicate the efforts that he had last season, because Curtis Samuel, Adam Humphries, Antonio Gibson, J.D. McKissick, you get the point. Robert Tonyan, someone with high touchdown upside. Again, I'm of the camp that Aaron Rodgers is playing for Green Bay in 2021. So I don't really have a problem taking him, and then we can queue up Jared Cook later on in a couple rounds. After Antonio Brown, you see Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Damian Harris finally, so very nice value there. Then Chase Claypool. Probably right now, I'm just going to, stash someone like a Michael Thomas. It's probably a little bit early. I will say we're going to be taking him in the 8th round. I think he probably belongs in the 9th, 10th round, considering he's going to miss about a month and a half. And it could be more if he suffers a setback. So keep all of those things in mind. And speaking of Michael Thomas, unless I'm having a brain fart, let's see if he was already drafted. So kind of just scrolling down this list, I don't see his name yet. So he should be there for us. Yeah, I believe he should be there for us. So let's just queue him up. Oh, there he is. Just, again, having a brain fart apparently. But these draft results, scrolling down, after Antonio Brown, I mentioned Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, Damian Harris, Chase Claypool, Ryan Tannehill, good value, Robert Tonyan is off the board, Leonard Fournette, DJ Shark, and we've gone full crazy. We've gone defenses in the 8th round. That is absolutely insane. That is banana land. So we're just like I said, we're gonna go Michael Thomas here in the 8th round, and we just got another defense, another auto pick probably. We're getting Michael Thomas with the 90th overall pick, and I do want to break this down a little bit. Yes, this is early for Michael Thomas. The reason I'm taking him at this point in time is because I want some upside at the wide receiver position, considering I'm so strong at running back. And I believe that, if this was my roster come September, it has the potential for a postseason run. So I'm loading up on guys that can be difference makers in the postseason. And Michael Thomas is that guy. I'm all right reaching on him by a round and a half, too. So that's the logic there. I'm going to make one more pick because this has gone defensive heavy, and there's not really any point in continuing to look at this when it becomes something like that. We've already got, again, our starting roster for the most part filled out. Other than tight end, we've already got 2 bench pieces. We've got a flex. So right now, other than tight end, I was really hoping like a Hawkinson, a Pitts, a Dallas Goedert falling to us would have been amazing, because I think we could have still gotten Antonio Brown and Michael Thomas afterwards. I would have been very, very happy, and I would have probably given this roster like a B+, A- type of grade. Right now, I think it's probably hovering around the B range. But let's make this final pick and then give you guys that concrete grade. We've got some auto picks here, so hopefully this thing kind of hurries up. But again, looking at some other value picks, there's Brendan Cooks, depending on what happens in Houston with obviously Deshaun Watson. I really like Matthew Stafford as a value pick at this point. Same with Joe Burrow, but we've got Kyler Murray. We don't need another running back. We don't have to worry about that position. We don't really have a running back that's worth getting a handcuff for either. So I'm not looking at guys like Latavius Murray or an Alexander Madison or a Tony Pollard or even a Jamal Williams. So again, we are going to look at the tight end position, and that's going to be that. We're going to make that one final pick. And right now, the way that I'd rank them, I guess Adam Trautman is going to get some more targets. We can swing for the fences and go with upside there. We'll see what happens, even though I really, really like Jared Cook, so I'll probably just queue him up later as a backup tight end option. So let's go with Adam Trautman here, and then we'll go with Jared Cook as a backup tight end. I do think, for what it's worth, that Trautman, could be a decent piece, but I'm worried that the Saints will add another wide receiver. In fact, I'm almost 100% certain they will, since right now their wide receiver depth is, just bad, to say the least. After Michael Thomas, when's the Traquan Smith season finally going to happen? Is it going to be this season, or is it going to be never? Because if it's not now, it's probably going to be never. So I'm looking at Trautman, yes, Logan Thomas, Mike Gesicki, Irv Smith Jr., popular names, don't get me wrong. I think they're going to do all right, but I'm just swinging it for the fences at this point. Right now, we've just ignore the tight end position, so just go for the best value and for the highest upside. I'm going Trautman after that Michael Thomas injury, obviously. So right now, I'm going to give this team a grade of a B-. The tight end position is going to hurt us, but I'm going to queue up Jared Cook, one of my favorite late round tight ends that I continue to mention over and over. So maybe a B. I'll go with a B. I'll go with a B in terms of the grade. I love our running backs, A+ there. Wide receivers, I think we did a decent job, all things considered. B+. Quarterback A, tight end, probably like a D, a C-. So that's what's bringing down the grade. But hey, let us hear it in the comment section. What did you think? What questions do you guys have? Do you have questions about your rosters? Let me hear it. I will do my best to answer them. And again, if you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe, check us out online at alldaypigskin.com. Sign up for our newsletter, get yourself a copy of the 2021 ADP Fantasy Football Draft Guide, and in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.